What's up guys, Alex here, I got my buddy Josh.
Hi.
And today we have probably the smallest and lightest airplane at the flight test shop. This is the Vapor Lite HP from Horizon Hobby.
Yeah. Now the Vapor has a long history here. It's been around for probably about the history of flight tests.
Comes in at about 11.5 grams, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's also running off of a 70 milliamp one cell battery, which is super tiny. And it's got a wingspan that's less than 12 inches.
So there are two different versions, Ready to Fly and Bind and Fly Basic. Now with the Ready Fly, you get this little tiny controller here, and it is really good in some aspects. But one thing that you're not going to get is a complete flying experience. You get a much better experience if you have something like this DXE.
The transmitter kind of determines what kind of experience you have flying something. And believe it or not, the type of transmitter that you have and the quality of transmitter you have is going to affect how easy or difficult it is to fly. So that being said, if you are considering the Ready to Fly package with this, you definitely want to make sure that you have some experience flying. Because if not, using that Ready to Fly transmitter for a beginner might prove to be a little bit more difficult. Whereas if you were to upgrade to say something maybe like a DXE or something like that, you're going to have a little bit better experience. The quality of the gimbals is going to be a little bit better, and you're going to have more resolution. Basically, it's going to be a smoother input onto the control surface when you're moving the sticks around on both throttle and your control surfaces as well.
And one thing I really love is being frugal. A really great price point here. We talked about radios and everything. Right now going on, they have the Expert Ready to Fly package, which comes with the DXE for $100.
That's pretty crazy because the DXE is actually about a $100 radio by itself.
Exactly. So you can actually get a plane that can fly indoors and outdoors in the Expert along with this radio, and then you can bind it to this Vapor. So a really cool feature about going up to something like the DXE is you also have really good features like wireless buddy boxing. Wireless buddy boxing is where one controller can wirelessly override the other one. So say you're teaching a child how to fly, or you're wanting to get someone in the air, or you need help yourself, this radio has the ability to make that experience even better.
Speaking of training, one of the main things that's going to determine whether or not you have a good or bad experience with this little guy is your flying environment. Where you fly this thing is going to be key. Now this can be flown in spaces as small as a living room, but that is determined on your experience level. For the average user, and especially for beginners, you're gonna want a bigger space.
A large garage is perfect for this. If you have high ceilings, 10 foot plus, and a large 24 by 24 foot garage, you can actually have a lot of fun, fly with your friends. Anything smaller than that, you're gonna really have to work on throttle management where you're keeping it in the high alpha. That means that you're flying more off the propeller and the thrust than you are actually the wing. Now, if you're a beginner and you're in a gymnasium, this is where this Vapor really shines. You have the ability to fly slow, fly high, but also you have the ability to make mistakes, learn how to correct them without hitting anything.
These things can even be flown outside. You're just gonna need to make sure that there's zero wind.
One thing I really like about the Vapors is the fact that because they're carbon fiber and plastic, they're incredibly bendy. So even when you do hit things, most likely it's going to be just fine. One thing you do want to be really careful about though is you don't want to run anything head on. This is carbon fiber, it is mylar, sharp objects can be bad for it. You want to really take care of this, so always make sure that you put it back in the box. That way it'll last the longest it can.
When they do break, typically what goes first is either the propeller or the landing gear.
Yeah.
Nice thing about the landing gear is you can fly it without landing gear.
I take them off ahead of time because I never land anything, and also it lightens it up just a little bit.
That's awesome. The majority of the parts for this little Vapor is less than 10 bucks, and normally you can find them at most hobby stores. If not, you can get them easily over the internet, which is always a good factor in any kind of hobby product, no matter what. Replacement parts are key. One of the reasons why we were so excited when we saw that they were coming out with another version of the Vapor is because the line of Vapors, there's been a couple different renditions. It's been a part of flight test for many years now.
Since it began.
Not only a great source of fun, but also a great tool to teach people how to get them into the hobby. And you've been teaching people on Vapors since they first came out.
We actually had a flying ministry over 8 years ago that was started, and we started it exclusively with Vapors, teaching people during the winter how to fly with their parents and their children. Now there was a couple things that we discovered that were kind of like the Achilles heel of the Vapors, and that was with the pitch sensitivity, especially with a young kid that maybe flew video games and would give full up, full down, full left, full right. We came up with a solution for that.
So basically what you did here is you created what you call a limiter disc, which is basically just a circle with a hole in it. And what it provides is it prevents physically the transmitter gimbals from being able to be moved into certain positions. So on the throttle, you have just so it only controls throttle because there's no yaw or anything on like that.
And a matter of fact, it caps the thrust about 75% too.
Yes. And then on the elevator, it prevents you from turning too sharply and also prevents you from going into an extreme nose down attitude and diving the thing into the ground, which is perfect for kids.
Yeah, but it also teaches them the muscle memory, so they can't learn that pushing forward does anything positive. It actually keeps them from doing it, so they only know that pulling back will go up. Pushing forward only gives you about 10% down, and it stops you.
These are super simple designs. You could probably make one on your own, but we'll also put free plans to these little limiter discs in the article, so make sure you check that out. Overall, the type of person that this is designed for is pretty broad. I think it can go all the way from a first-time flyer to an experienced. I think that the experienced guys are gonna have a fun time flying this in tight spaces, kind of putzing it around high alpha, flying it in your living room and taking it everywhere. And then to the beginner, you take it to a gymnasium, it becomes a very, very great platform to teach and to learn on.
Yeah. The nice part about this Vapor HP too is it's a little bit smaller, but also the motor's a lot more powerful.
Yes.
Which means you can actually go vertical with it. You can fly better high alpha. You can punch out of weird maneuvers. You can do touch and goes off the wall. The experienced pilot can have a lot of fun with this too.
All right, so enough talking. These things have always been tons of fun. That's
Yeah.
what we've always loved about the Vapors. What do you say? What do you think? We could fly these things together? We took the UMX Spacewalkers and we did 3 of them.
Yes. Then I want to put an FXT 805 right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
And then we'll have a super slow-mo reconnaissance plane for indoors.
I like it. Oh, geez, look at that.
So we're talking about a bigger area that's nice to fly in. This is the place.
This is a great place. It's just not great for video because it's so dark. Dang. I think I like that better than the normal one. It's magical.
So cool.
It's even more like a moth now, I feel like. Bring it around.
You're gonna notice it glides really well now too.
Keep on bleeding that altitude off. Altitude. Uh-oh. Oh, 3D. 3D. Bring it around. That was awesome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know down in the comments what microplanes you like the best, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Yes, dude, I like this. This is